Hey guys, it's Matthew here once again, and today I'd like to share with you the character I've been working on that is trying to bring some former glory back to a bow that kind of did need a little bit of love and got a little bit of love this patch, and that's Voltaxic Rift. The bad news is I'm not really sure that I managed to do anything with the buffed mod, which makes shocking things infinitely easier and also more powerful, but I did end up making somewhat of a poison, galvanic arrow, and lightning arrow assassin, which works quite well on the clear speed. Probably going to be the best clear speed character I've got this league because lightning arrow with fork, GMP, all of this poison damage, and then Impulsor and Elemental Prolif on the main links just shreds entire freaking screens once you get some of the damage and the chains going. And it's just been a dream to play for mapping, and for single target I've been using Galvanic Arrow with Barrage, stacking a few little arrows, and the idea is that Assassin is supposed to have a lot of poisons being applied really quickly, so then your duration gets applied higher and higher, ramping up, and eventually you have like 15-20 second poisons. So it kind of negates the need for poison duration in your build because Assassin is your one-stop shop for that, and as well as that we can use Volker gloves, which give you 50 less poison duration, but they don't really matter once you're ramping up. So that's the idea of the build, and it has worked out decently well so far. Probably still a few little things to figure out, potentially a bit of a passive tree respec or so, because character is not yet completed for his tankiness, I'd say. But once you're given the opportunity to actually ramp against a lot of bosses, it does go through to the freaking ceiling and absolutely ramp. The problem is, plenty of bosses don't want to be ramped on. Plenty of bosses are going to have phases, they're going to stop your ramp, they're going to attack you with various bullshit. That forces you to kind of stop doing your damage. Hasn't been a huge problem so far, but some bosses have been a bit more challenging than others. But for the most part, we've just been exploring how freaking awesome this Lightning Arrow Impulsor Awakened Fork setup is, and I've never had such an easy time clearing packs on blighted maps because it's just one click towards a certain area and it'll wipe out like 2 screens. It's pretty ridiculous for just pure clear speed, and I guess you probably don't have to do this with poison necessarily. It's mostly just a lightning arrow impulsor or lightning arrow explode fizz chest sort of thing, and it should work with plenty of different builds if you just want to play around with that. So far, the poison hasn't really shown off any too huge potential. It's probably like a couple of million damage fully ramped, but still kind of figuring the character out and just showcasing what I've got so far with the Voltaxic Rift bow. I will say it seems kind of redundant to be using the Voltaxic, though. Potentially just get better damage with like a corroded bow or a Darkscorn or something like that, especially in this setup, because the thing that changed for Voltaxic is it has much better shock potential now. So you shock things as though they're taking 300% damage, and you can also shock up to 100% increased damage, which won't really be too prevalent with certain skills like my Galvanic Barrage, which hit kind of weak but many times. And in other words, you probably want something that's going to hit really hard and then hopefully shock something for 100% of its damage. So I'm not really taking advantage of that, and I feel like the best way to take advantage of that is to not really be poisoned. It's kind of to just have it with a Divine Ire, where you can instantly put on a huge shock and then at the same time obliterate things, but it also does feel a bit redundant with the Divine Ire build. So I'm not too sure what the good or superior use for Voltaxic still is. It kinda, I think, needs the 60% conversion back to 100%, which got nerfed many years back, but that's probably not happening, and it's not really going to make it much better. It would make it a lot easier to build around. But you can see with these few little examples that some bosses get super ramped on once you can get started, And for the most part, the most enjoyable part has been doing metamorphs. Metamorphs themselves actually get kind of obliterated by chaos damage, it seems, and if you can get a good solid ramp on them, any of my tier 14 plus metamorphs so far just start to fade away once you get a few little attacks in. And even though my character isn't particularly tanky, he's had an easier time with these metamorphs than plenty of my much tankier ones, simply because you find your window of opportunity, you run in, and you pretty much kill the thing and then run away. And in a lot of these metamorph cases, it just has not been too challenging. It's just avoiding a certain one shot or two. But the poison ramp does exist, and it's nothing too steep to get it going. But is it worth it? Not particularly sure for the Voltaxic version of things. But I do want to show you how I built the character at this point anyway. So here's our character, level 89 Ass Rift. Assassin, Voltaxic Rift, you get the picture. Built around the bow, which just has a big chunk of lightning damage to start with. 60% of your lightning is converted to chaos, which is pretty fucking annoying, because it means it's kind of hard to scale both at the same time, and if one or the other, it feels like you're wasting a lot of the potential. Either way, chaos damage can shock enemies as though dealing 300% more damage, so it just means that you are going to be shocking things 3 times easier than you otherwise would be without a Voltaxic. And then your shocks can increase damage taken by up to 100%, which is compared to the 50% it normally does. So yeah, I think something like a Divine Eye could definitely shock for full potential. Currently, we're probably shocking for full potential on some enemies with our Lightning Arrow, because it definitely is hitting hard enough and exploding plenty of mobs, and then applying a huge shock multiplier there. But for our actual single target, I doubt we're getting too potent of a shock actually in on that one. It does have bow attacks, fire an additional arrow. I bought this one for like 30C corrupted, and then 5 linked it through the crafting bench, which takes just a pile of vials and fusings. So it wasn't too hard to come by, but the additional arrow isn't strictly necessary in this. It's just nice to get for our barrage galvanic arrow setup, so that instead of having 6 arrows, I have 7. And then with Dying Sun, instead of 7, I have 9. So it's just a little bit of a DPS increase there, but by no means is it strictly necessary. And our chest of choice is currently Impulsor. I did try out the Blight chest, but that just didn't feel anywhere near as good. So Impulsor gives us those really nice explosions, and it is, I wouldn't say strictly necessary, but probably the funnest part of the build, and does give you some pretty effective clear. So if you're going to play and enjoy a build like this, Impulsor will go a long way to amping up your clear and enjoyment of the character. So you do have our Galvanic 6-link over here, because I think that's more important for our single target to be 6-linked. Our Lightning Arrow can survive off of a fucking 3-link if it needs to. It's just that strong. You then have Galvanic Arrow, early damage with attacks, Barrage, added Lightning, Awakened Unbound, and Awakened Deadly Ailments. Both of these were pretty cheap, and currently as level 1s, all they're doing is roughly what a level 20 gem is doing, so don't be too stressed out by that. And you can do some other things here anyway to get similar amounts of damage. Not necessarily these supports. But for Lightning Arrow, it's Lightning Arrow, Awakened Fork, GMP, added Lightning, and Ellie Prolif. Early on when I was playing this, I didn't feel like I had a really nice shock chance and explosion from the Impulsor. So adding the Ellie Prolif really made sure that just about every pack was getting shocked reliably and exploding hard. But I think at this stage of the character, it's possible I can take this out, and I'll experiment with that throughout the day. But currently, Ellie Prolif is in the setup. You then have just Wrath, Herald of Thunder, Precision. All of your lightning damage is getting scaled to chaos and then applying to your poison. I am using Volker's Guidance. The tooltip in Path of Building is going to tell you it's shit. So 50% less poison duration is not going to be good on your tooltip in Path of Building. But the thing that you have to factor in is once you stack like 30, 40, 50, 100 poisons, which is pretty realistic to do with your Galvanic Arrow and the way that the barrage spam works, just non-stop barraging like that, you will stack a lot of poisons. By that point, you've got like 10-second poisons, and Volkers don't really matter. Whereas having all your lightning damage attached to poison as well is pretty big. So if you don't have these, you'll have worse initial poison damage, but you have much better duration, so your ramp won't matter as much. Whereas once you have these, you've got really good initial poison damage, but it takes longer to ramp your damage into good duration so that your poisons are more effective in the long term. You can go either way, but I tried without them and I felt a little weaker, so I'm sticking to them and happy with them for now. But up to you, I'd say. You then have just some sort of aberrant spammed quiver. It's not particularly good, but it's not too easy to get much better. So just some chaos damage over time. An amulet with some chaos damage over time, some elemental damage, got some lightning on there as well. Flat lightning is probably better than a lot of what I've got on my amulet, but managed to get this one, annul it, and things worked out. So we got ourselves one like that. You do need a lot of int somewhere, so we've got int on rings, strength on rings, and int up here. And then my helm, just with aberrant crafting, it's also got the projectile speed for galvanic arrow, which is kind of useful, but by no means necessary. But the important thing here is our suffix to craft, which is increased duration of ailments you inflict while focused. While you press your focus button, you got huge extra duration, and there's not really much better you can get for a single focus or for a single button to press. It's a very large damage increase. And then I just got my tailwind boots, crafted cannot chill, regular belt from before, and running a dying sun, currently a silver flask and currently in its series promise, which does give some of our lightning into chaos for more poison once again. The passive tree is still not quite finalized, I don't think. I might likely come over to the life wheel because I want to hit over 6k life for endgame, but we'll have to wait and see just if I can do anything with that. Possibly go more into a crit route too, because I'm currently wasting toxic deliveries 50% more with crits, but it doesn't really make too much sense to be crit either. So there's some things I'm going to have to try and figure out and see if it can get any better, but this may just end up being the best version as well. The first 2 points I took were Noxious Strike, then Toxic Delivery, then Mistwalker, then Opportunistic, and the leveling takes you pretty much through just as you see it. Down here, get some int and some life, and then just go through the damage nodes and pick up whatever you feel is necessary. You can become poison pretty much as soon as you get Volker's gloves on, and then you become really poison once you get Voltaxic Rift. I think that's all I'll say for now, because it's still a little bit of work in progress, but for the most part, it's been quite a lot of fun just running around and exploding packs and watching your ramp get rampier and rampier, but it's by no means the most well-rounded or biggest DPS build just yet. We'll have to wait and see how it performs against endgame as well. For now guys, thank you very much for watching and see you next time.